All right, welcome everyone to our TaskRay and Customer Onboarding webinar. We've got some people jumping on now, so we're going to give everyone a few minutes to join the presentation, and then we are going to get started talking about creating scalable systems with TaskRay. We're going to take one more minute. I can see people hopping on now, and then we are going to get started in just 1 minute. And all right, looks like we have a good group of people here ready to get started with our webinar today. Welcome everyone on this lovely Thursday, the 21st of June. Today, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about TaskRay and customer onboarding, creating scalable systems. So to introduce myself, my name is Kirsten Bremer. I'm the product marketing specialist here at Bracket Labs, and I am joined with my colleague, Alyssa Gibson. She is the product manager, so we have lots of experience and lots of exciting knowledge to share with you guys today. We wanted to talk quickly about a few upcoming events and do a little intro about TaskRay and Bracket Labs before we jump into our webinar. So we have a handful of events coming up this summer, including our eCourse learning series, which we have just launched. We're really excited about that. If that is something you are interested in, we'll include the link in our follow-up email, but just a heads up that that is live and available on our site. We'll also be at a couple of events later in July in the Denver area. The Daydreamin' at 5280 event will be part of that, and I believe also participating in that. And we will be at the Women in Tech Witness Success event as well. So if you're in the Denver area, please stop by and say hello. I'd love to meet you in person. Just a little bit of background about Bracket Labs. This is our team here. You can see everyone. We are happy to connect with you all outside of these webinars. You can see all the information below. Please reach out to us via email. You can find all of our supporting material on our support site, all of our documentation. You can find other webinars at taskray.com/webinars and find our Salesforce Success community group, as well as find us on all of our social channels. So a quick, just 2 cents overview about TaskRay. If you are not familiar with TaskRay, we are a 100% native we are a 100% Salesforce native process management solution, really designed to help teams perform their best. We really support a diversity of use cases and industries, including, as we'll talk about today, customer onboarding, agile development, marketing, employee onboarding, health and life sciences, among many others. We have plenty of details on that on TaskRay.com as well. And one of the things that we really think stands out about TaskRay is that we are native, we are simple to use, and we are very versatile. So we're just as easy to implement as we are to use, and we take a lot of pride in that. So with no further ado, we are going to dive into the customer onboarding portion of this webinar. If you would like to watch a general overview webinar or really show kind of the step-by-step process of using TaskRay, you can find that on our webinars page as well. So today we're going to talk about customer onboarding and how to use TaskRay to create scalable systems to manage your customer onboarding processes. As you all know, onboarding is a critical moment in a customer's journey and can really define how they experience your product, brand, or services. And we found that really without a well-defined and organized process for onboarding new customers, a lot of opportunities can fall down before they get started, and we want to avoid that. So some of the common problems that we've noticed with customer onboarding, we've outlined here. There can be a lot of moving pieces and disparate systems. So there can be a lot of different parts of the process that might, fall down or get missed, lots of balls in the air. And oftentimes organizations can have a lot of different systems that they use for their onboarding process, whether it's different technologies or services or just communication channels. There can be a lot of different departments involved. They can also be in different locations. So you could have your marketing department in one state, your sales department in another, and potentially your support team, across the world. So there are a lot of different people involved in the process, and it's important to keep those organized. We also find that internal and external visibility is really key to having a strong customer onboarding process, and that's something that TaskRay can really help improve across all of your audiences. And one of the really key things that we're going to talk about here is when it comes to growing companies, they need scalable systems for customer onboarding and really strong reporting. So those can be a big challenge to really master, and it's something that we think TaskRay can help you overcome. So what we're going to be doing when we jump into our demo is walking through how you use TaskRay to make your customer onboarding process not only look seamless from the outside, but feel seamless as well. We're going to be covering a couple of key components of how you can customize TaskRay for your onboarding process, including using automations to clone templates when opportunities are closed won, organizing projects into task groups to facilitate project changes, including scheduling changes and so forth, and using integrations like communities and Quip to enhance transparency and customer communication. So with that, we are going to jump into our demo. Exit out of this screen and jump into, there we go. All right, so just make sure we can all see the screen. Looks like we're good. So for this particular demo, as I mentioned, we're going to walk through what it looks like to onboard a customer following a closed won opportunity. Now, TaskRay allows you to both manually and automatically clone project templates, which is what we are going to open those real quick here so you can see what that looks like. Right now we are in TaskRay in the Kanban view looking at a customer onboarding template. So you can create these templates and clone them as needed when you are starting a customer onboarding project. And we like to think of templates as the building blocks of your projects, and you can really put them together in any way you like to create a unique project that supports your customer's use case. So in this template, you can also see here all of our tasks are in the holding column, so they haven't started yet. And you can see that we have set all of these to the customer support group. So once you clone this project and start working through it, you can assign out those tasks to different members of your team. So these are just a placeholder. It's a really helpful way to identify which team will be working on this project. So what we found is that setting up a process to clone a template based on a closed won opportunity is a great way to really streamline your onboarding process. And we do this using Process Builder. So we are going to jump over here to Process Builder and show you what that looks like. So I've set this up ahead of time, and all of it is explained in detail in our support documentation. But basically, we've used the opportunity object as the starting point, and then set it up so when an opportunity is marked closed won, the action is to clone a TaskRay project, and then we've set that, or I'm sorry, clone a TaskRay project template, and then we've set that template to be the customer onboarding project. So This process, if you've used Process Builder before, it's really customizable. For example, you can set it up to clone a different template based on criteria. So if you have a certain template for project, or I'm sorry, for opportunities that are, say, over $30,000, you can set up Process Builder to clone a certain template versus those that are under 30,000 or something along those lines. It will clone a different template because you might have different actions or different types of projects, onboarding projects that are related to those types of deals. So once we've set up our process builder, we've activated it, and we have marked an opportunity closed won, we are going to jump into TaskRay so we can start working. So here's the template. I'm going to go into my projects and show you a specific onboarding project. So this one we have set up here. This is our demo customer onboarding project where you'll see we've already started working a little bit. So let's say we've marked the opportunity closed won, and then our team has already started moving forward. So in Kanban, we can see all of the tasks from our template populated in one view. So we've set them up to kind of to show all in one group. It's kind of a bulk list of tasks. From these tasks, you can jump into one to see all of the details of that task. So we'll start with the 1 month checkup call, just because that one seems to have a lot going on in there. So from here you can see the chatter function. So within each of these tasks, you can have conversations that are really contained within the onboarding project. So eliminating back and forth emails, whatever other kind of messaging system you're using, it can all happen here within the task. So it's specific to that project and that task. You can also add files to the task. So if there's different components that you need to include, you can upload those here. You can build out a checklist. So each of a handful of these tasks have checklists already set up in the template, and then you can check those off as you go and follow the progress bar above. You can also add time tracking. So if this one takes us 1 hour, we can go ahead, we can add notes here, and you can see the owner, click save, and we've added some time tracking to that particular task. So in terms of assignment, you'll see that some of these tasks are still set up for the customer support team. The Kanban view is a really easy way that we can assign out those tasks to different members of the team. And as we move through them, we can move them across the board to prioritize, started, and finish. So this is where a lot of the work of the actual project takes place. Now, another part of the Kanban view that is really helpful is the task group. So during the onboarding process, you may find that you have distinct phases of the project. They might involve different teams or different departments. And to manage these, we've set it up so you can break up your bulk of tasks here into task groups to show each phase of the project. So I'm going to go up here to the right-hand corner and click on task group mode. And that's going to show us these different phases that we've set up. So phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and we've organized those tasks into those different phases. So it really improves the overall experience for the onboarding team, especially so you're not viewing, a bulk of 30 or 40 tasks. You can break it down and just view what you have to do in that particular phase. Another really interesting part of the task groups and the templates that I wanted to run through here today is stitching in new project templates or task group templates to a particular project. So oftentimes in an onboarding process, if a customer has purchased your service, they might want to add on a different piece. They might want to add more licenses. They might want to add training or anything along those lines. And there's a really simple way to do it in TaskRay. So you can actually stitch in new task groups to the project. And to do that, you're going to go down to the project details and click on more actions. And here you'll see a list of items that you can do, and we're going to select insert stitch. And we're going to see here, it gives us the option to insert a project or a task group. And for this example, we're going to say this customer wanted to add training to their onboarding process. So we're just going to search for the customer training package task group that we have already set up as a template. We're going to select that. And you can set these dates here. You can also set them later on in plan view. We're going to select Insert Stitch. And once it processes, there is our customer training package. So you'll see it's added to the project. You can move it around and create different relationships among it, but it goes ahead and adds that to the project. So it's a part of it and you have a really seamless experience. You can build it right into the process. Once we've moved through a couple of tasks, maybe done some work here in Kanban, we're going to go to another one of the views where it's really helpful for scheduling, changing dates, updating project details, the plan view. So this is a different visualization, more of a Gantt chart view of the project. And there's a lot of other elements that we're going to walk through here. First of all is scheduling tasks. So it's really easy to schedule tasks in plan view, more so than a lot of the others, just because you can see the dates here. So it's a really chronological process. So for example, you can see our phase 1 has already been scheduled out. We've started working. We're going to use plan view to drag and drop this next task here that hasn't been scheduled and say we want to put it right here. Now you'll see these arrows next to each of the tasks. Those are the dependencies that we've created, and those were created in the template, which is why they auto-populated here when I scheduled that task. But in plan view, you can also change the dependencies. You can see the different dependency types. This one is finish to finish. Obviously, the most common is finish to start, so we can change that here. Click Save, and it shows up right there. Another element that you can add in plan view that's really great for reporting is the baselines feature. So we're going to go up here to baselines. I believe I've set a few other ones, but we're going to set one today. We can select set new baseline. You can add some notes down here. Click Save, and then to view, you go back up there. You find the date for the baseline that you have created or the one you want to view, and you can see it below. So this is great for reporting, for kind of setting, giving yourself a snapshot of project progress at a specific point in the project. Under the baselines, the colors just identify the stage that task is in. So these are green, that means it's completed. Gray is incomplete, and then red would be, or gray is open and red would be overdue. So at this point, I am going to hand it over to Alyssa, who is going to talk a little bit more in detail about some of the different elements of this part of the onboarding project around shifting dates and locking tasks and different task notifications. So I'm going to hand it over to her, and she's going to take it from here.
All right, so I will be talking about bulk date updates and then go into lock tasks. So here I am on the same project that Kirsten was just on, and I can see right here my timeline of how the tasks are scheduled, and all of them are connected using dependencies. And one nice thing about these dependencies is that once you have them in place, it is really easy to reschedule and make scheduling updates to multiple tasks at once. So let's say this task that we have right here determines success metrics. Let's say we need to schedule it out a couple of days later just because there's some sort of a delay. So in order to do that, all I will need to do is just drag and drop it onto the new date on the calendar and on the timeline. And as you can see, all of the tasks that are connected downstream are also getting rescheduled by the same amount of days, just like the first one. But let's say we need to reschedule something in the middle of this chain of dependencies, but we don't need to reschedule any of the tasks that happened before. And to do that, same thing, we would just move the middle task out to the new date. And as you can see, the determine success metrics and prepare training resources, neither of those got rescheduled just because they've already happened, and they are not connected to this task that I rescheduled in the same way as the ones that are downstream. And another thing with rescheduling is you can also lock dates on specific tasks. So right here, we have a lock date on product consultation, for example. And what that means is that the task, that this product consultation task, it will have to take place on these dates no matter what happens with the rest of the project. And oftentimes, a good real life example of this is locking something like a milestone on a project. So we know that onboarding phase 1 must be complete for this customer no later than, let's say, July 10th. That is a very important date, and we don't want to miss it. And even if something changes down before the milestone, before the onboarding phase complete date, we know that this has to happen on that specific day no matter what. And so let's lock the date on this onboarding milestone just because it is important. So I opened up the details of the milestone, of the onboarding phase 1 complete milestone. And on this task details or milestone details page, there is this milestone checkbox, which indicates that it is a milestone. In order for me to lock the dates on this milestone, there's this lock dates field. And if you don't see it, that means that it just hasn't been added to the page layout for you or the field set for this, for the task. But you can add it, or your admin can add it, and we have documentation on how to do that. But all you would need is to check this lock dates checkbox and save the task or the milestone. So right here, I've locked the dates on this onboarding task, onboarding milestone, and I can see that because it's now indicated by this lock icon, meaning that it is not possible to reschedule it. I'm actually going to unlock this one just to show you how it all works together. All right, so this one's now unlocked, and I can, let's say the send welcome email got sent out a couple of days later, and we just need to shift the entire phase 1 task group over by a couple of days. So send welcome email got moved to, let's say, Monday the 2nd, and you can see that all of the tasks are getting rescheduled, the ones that have dependency connections, except for the onboarding phase 1 complete milestone. And as I rescheduled it, all of the tasks got moved, but this dependency turned red just because it is now at risk, meaning that this red arrow will tell you that there are tasks that are scheduled after this milestone, which means that you're now at risk of meeting your onboarding phase 1 complete deadline. And so you could reschedule it back, make adjustments as needed, or just be aware of the fact that this is happening. And with these at-risk dependencies, you can also see all of that in, let's say, the info tab. And Kristen's going to go a little bit deeper into the project view and that sidebar, but you can see tasks at risk right here. So it'll be surfaced for you so you can see all of that information. Now, the next thing that I would like to talk about is notifications. TaskRay comes with a few notifications out of the box, and those notifications are very standard. So there's task assignment notification. So let's say if I assign a task to another team member, they will get notified about that. There's the daily planner email, which helps people stay on top of all their deadlines and lists tasks that are due today or overdue or due within the week. And then there's also the project assignment email. So when someone gets added to a project, they get notified about that as well. But because we're native to the Salesforce platform, and Kristen already talked about Chatter, so you can do a bunch of custom notifications using Chatter. So let's say you want to notify someone else on the team about something that's happening. Well, at mentioning someone will, let's see, I'm not sure the names of the people in this org, but you can at mention someone that's on your team to send them a notification. And you can also automate certain things. So let's say if something happens on a task, it automatically notifies, let's say, the task owner, and the owner gets an email or a Chatter notification about that. And you can also, again, because we're native to the Salesforce platform, you can create automations, you can create custom notifications that take place because of those automations. So there's really a lot that you can do with custom notifications. And on our support site, we have a collaboration and notifications section. And we provide a couple of examples of the most commonly configured notifications. So there's one that you can set up when tasks become overdue, or you can set one up when dependent predecessor tasks are completed. So to notify the person who's responsible for a specific task that all of the other ones have been completed that are dependent on it, so that person can start working on their own task. And then we also have documentation on how to send notifications on checklist item assignment. And then, so that's notifications, but another thing that you can use for collaboration, a great tool, is our TaskRay live app for Quip. So if your organization is using Quip, this is a great way to collaborate on projects. So let's say you have a customer onboarding document in your Quip instance, and you can use the TaskRay live app to pull in the progress of a specific project. So the way that works is you can mention TaskRay, and that pulls up the TaskRay live app. And this is, I'm just typing directly into the document. I've already oh, I just deleted it. Let me re-add it. So there's the TaskRay live app, and I'm just going to go into the demo mode. It has a new customer onboarding sample project. And right here, you will see the snapshot of how the project is doing, the progress, any milestones and their status, as well as get some detail information on the project. And this just lists all of the tasks on that customer onboarding project, for example. If this was a real project, I would also be able to edit the information in here, and that would communicate back into TaskRay. And another thing I can do with this live app is comment on things. So I can leave comments, and this will stay within the Quip document. And I can do that at the task level or the project level. And then the last thing that I would like to talk about is communities. And in communities, that is a Salesforce, just using Salesforce communities. It is possible to use TaskRay in communities, which is a great way to collaborate externally with essentially anyone who you need to bring into the project. So we have our lightning components that you can put on community pages. We have a quick start guide that will walk you through how to customize it and how to set it all up specifically for TaskRay. And you can use any of our lightning components to put them on the home page. And so like right here, we have an example of the TaskRay My Projects component, which just pulls in the projects that you want the external stakeholder to see. TaskRay Today and TaskRay Time, but you can place any of the other ones that you find necessary. And right here in the community, it looks like you can place the entire TaskRay app into the community, and it'll be fully functional just like TaskRay is in Salesforce. So this is a great way to collaborate externally. And I'm just going to switch back to Kirsten so that she can wrap things up in the webinar.
All right, so we have one or two more things we wanted to go through. I know we're getting close to time, so I'll just go through this really quickly and then open it up for any questions. So if you have any questions at all, please put those into the sidebar and we will answer those for you. So the last thing that we wanted to talk about in order to kind of wrap things up is an additional view. So if you go into portfolio view, we're in TaskRay here. We are just in the work view where we see Kanban and plan view. Portfolio view is a great way to really keep on top of the portfolio level of projects. So especially for large companies or growing companies or even small companies that have a lot of customer onboarding projects running at once, the portfolio view really helps to ensure that everyone stays informed, especially executives or project managers, so they can see the progress of all of the customer onboarding projects. So what we've done in this particular instance is created a filter. So our filter is customer onboarding projects, and then it's going to show us just those projects within the customer onboarding process. So we can see we have a handful going here. Here is the one that we've been working through. We see project progress. You can go down here and see individual task group projects or progress, sorry. So you can see the additional task group we added, haven't started that. Looks like this one's moving forward, and you can open up all of these other ones as well. One more element to this that is quite useful is the info tab here. So as Alyssa opened that up earlier, you can see this is sort of the portfolio view of everything that's happening. So when you click into that, you can see a snapshot of the progress of these onboarding projects. You can see how many tasks are overdue, how many schedule conflicts, block tasks, overall progress, and then walk through all of the different details here as you move down. So it really gives a high-level overview of what's happening in each of the customer onboarding projects, and helps you stay on top of things and prevent tasks at risk or things from falling through the cracks. One other piece you'll see at the bottom here, it's really great for overall breakdown of tasks by team member. So clearly I have too many tasks assigned to me, and you can identify different resourcing issues here as well. So that's another great kind of part of the portfolio tab and the portfolio view in the info tab that gives you some more details. So I think now we can take a few minutes to answer some questions, and definitely we'll follow up in our email with links to any of the support docs that we've mentioned, as well as the recording. So if you have to jump off, don't worry, we'll make sure to send you this recording after the fact. And now I'm going to hand it over to Alyssa to see what questions we have.
Yeah, so actually the first question that we got, and I think you just answered it, is will this webinar be sent or made available after the session? And the answer to that is yes, we will be sending out a follow-up email, and we'll also put this webinar recording on our YouTube channel or also on our website on taskray.com/webinars. So you can find it there. The next question is, when will you have automatic time tracking available, meaning TaskRay is tracking how long it takes? Unfortunately, I don't have that information right now, but we will keep everyone posted and send out a notification as soon as we get more information about when that feature will be, if we will be delivering this feature. But it is definitely something that we are looking at. We see a lot of activity on our ideas forum, so please communicate to us on our ideas forum, which is ideas.taskray.com. We use that a lot for product feedback. Next question is, can you dig into the Quip integration a bit? If there's anything additional that we can talk about Quip, we're happy to do that, but for now, we have a Quip document on our support site that you can take a look, and please let us know if there are any other questions that you have, and we'll be happy to answer them. Oh, and we also have a Quip webinar that we did a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago, and that Quip webinar goes really deep into the whole integration. So we will include that in the follow-up email. And the next question is, can we see some of the other views, not just the Gantt chart? I think we showed most of them, but Kristen's going to show some of the other ones.
Yep, so right now we're in portfolio view. If we go back to work, we can see Kanban, which we showed. We can see row view here. So we've got another kind of way that you can visualize your projects. Plan view, and then one of my favorite ones is the calendar view, because it really gives you a good overall visualization of, month to month what's happening within TaskRay.
All right, great. So thanks for showing that. And the next question is, if you are using communities, will the customer need a TaskRay license? And the answer to that is yes, they would need a TaskRay license in order to use TaskRay in the community. The next question is, can I show custom fields from the project in plan view or Kanban view? I have my projects linked to campaigns, and I would love to have a way for my users to click a link and be directed to the campaign if they need to check anything there. So there's not really a way to surface that information in Kanban view, but you can add all of those custom fields to the project and task details. And Kristen, can you open up the details of a task or a project so we can show that? Yeah, so you can add any custom fields to a project or a task, and they would show up on this layout right here. Another place where a lot of the custom fields will show up is in project view. So once you add a field to, let's say, a project, you can go to portfolio, and these columns can be customized. So you can add any of the custom field columns, most of the custom field columns, but something like a campaigns field would show up here. So you can add it here, and that would allow you to reference that information from this view. So the next question is, if you want to push a milestone earlier, is there a way it can shrink the amount of time proportionally that previous tasks are, rather than leaving them at a set timeline and just changing the dependencies to it? So if I'm understanding this correctly, the question is that if there is a way to, if you reschedule a milestone, that the rest of the tasks will adjust their dependency lag times. And that functionality is not available out of the box, but we can, if you are interested, maybe we can dig deeper and see if there's a workaround for that. Just reach out to our support, which is support@bracketlabs.com, support.taskray.com as well. Do you have a recommendation for a good way to view all open tasks for all open projects? So our board filters functionality is actually very useful for that. So one of the board filters that we provide out of the box is the My Tasks board filter, and that will show you all of the, like, whoever is logged in, all of your tasks that you're responsible for, and you can use board filters to further customize that. So you can say, I want to see just the tasks that are assigned to, let's say, me, or all the tasks across all users, and only show me the tasks that are not completed. So you can create board filters like that. And you can use native Salesforce functionality as well for reports and create a report that way, or a list view. But within TaskRay, board filters are a great way to filter your board and only see open tasks, and you can use it in any of the views. Where can I learn more about Salesforce communities and how to set them up? We have a section on our support site that is dedicated to communities and setting up communities for TaskRay, and we will provide a link to that in our follow-up email. But other than that, there's a lot of documentation on how to set it up from Salesforce itself, trailheads. That is a great place to start to learn about communities and how to set them up. But we do have some step-by-step instructions on how to set it up specifically for TaskRay. Do you find that many of your customers archive tasks when they are complete, or do most clients just archive the entire project when it is completed? I would say that it depends on a specific use case and your preference. So maybe just archiving the tasks works better for you, or the entire project. It also depends on how you want to see that in reporting, and just I would say it's more of a personal preference. There's a way to automate that as well, so you can archive all completed tasks and projects as they get completed. So there is a way to set that up, but I would say it's more of a preference and the needs of the organization. All right, the next question is, how can we filter the portfolio view to show only customer onboarding, other projects that are built off of specific templates? And again, to filter the portfolio project view, you would be using project filters. And you can set up a project filter to be very specific using criteria. So let's say if all of your onboarding projects have onboarding in them, you can set that as criteria to only show projects with onboarding in the name. And maybe you could add a custom field for the template and use that as criteria, or anything else. And that will filter the list of projects that are visible. The next question is there any plan on the product roadmap to integrate Google Calendar with TaskRay without requiring a third-party app? I don't have that information, unfortunately, but we will keep you updated as soon as we get more info. And again, please talk to us on our ideas forum, ideas.taskray.com, and we use that for feedback for determining what goes on the roadmap. If customers are using communities, I understand that I need a Customer Community Plus license, not just a community license. Is that correct? As of last release, I believe, we actually made it possible to use TaskRay with regular community licenses. We have documentation on that on our support site. I believe there is a small limitation in terms of using regular community licenses, but it's mostly full TaskRay functionality. So yes, TaskRay works with regular community licenses as well. Did you say that you could pull fields from custom objects in Salesforce into a project? You can create custom fields on the project and reference information from other objects, if I'm understanding it correctly. You can add any custom field to a project or task in TaskRay. Next question is, how do I view archived projects? And that can be done using the archived board filter in TaskRay. So on the left sidebar, you have your archived, and that is one of the standard board filters that we provide, is the archive board filter. And looks like we don't have any projects that have been archived, but if we did, they would show up right here. And if you don't see the archived board filter, what you would do is, if you hover over it, or any of the other board filters on the left, you will see this setup icon, and it'll take you to tools and settings, where you can pick the different board filters that you want to see in the sidebar. And archived is one of them, so you would be able to check that in order for it to show up. You can also look up archived filters in the standard Salesforce interface. Is there a third-party app that actually does integrate with the calendar? And I don't know of any at the top of my head, but if we find out there is one, we'll include it in the follow-up email. I don't think there is one, but there might be. I could be wrong. Right, and I think that's all the questions that we have right now. Thank you so much for all the great questions. Thank you for attending the webinar. Yeah, thank you.
Definitely. We will send all of the follow-up material via email, including the webinar recording and the links that Alyssa mentioned in answering the questions. So if you have anything else, please feel free to reach out to us, support@bracketlabs.com or on our ideas forum, and we will hear from you soon.